Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing a deep dive into the battle for the future of global trade. And here's the thing, this war isn't being fought with armies, it's being fought with ports, railways, and technology systems.
So let's kick things off with a pretty wild thought. What if the biggest power struggle of our lifetime isn't about grabbing land anymore? What if it's all about who builds and controls the networks, the very veins of the global economy?
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we need to look at two huge competing systems. Think of them like two different economic operating systems trying to rewire, well, pretty much everything.
All right, so on one side you've got CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. This is kind of the old school approach, right? All about hard infrastructure. We're talking a massive 3,000-kilometer corridor of concrete and steel, a real vertical axis. Then you've got IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. This one's the horizontal axis, and it's a totally different beast. It's a smart system. And when we say smart, we mean it. It's designed from the ground up to be optimized by AI, blending sea and rail routes into one slick, efficient network.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's do a head-to-head scorecard and see how these two giants actually stack up.
Okay, so when you look at the numbers, the contrast is, well, it's pretty brutal. First off, transit time. IMEC is looking at 10 to 15 days, while CPEC is way up at 20 to 25. That's huge. Then there's the tech. IMEC is built to be high-tech from the get-go, with smart ports and a digital spine. CPEC? That's pretty tech-light for now. And maybe the biggest difference, CPEC is really all about one power, China. IMEC, on the other hand, is this big coalition. The US, EU, Gulf states, India. That spreads the risk around a lot more.
You know, for any business watching this, that speed difference is the only number that really matters. We're talking 40 to 50% faster. In the world of logistics, time isn't like money, it is money. Being up to 50% faster, that is an absolute game changer. It's the difference between your products being on the shelf or sitting in a container.
And look, that speed and efficiency, it translates directly into dollar signs. The projections for 2040 are pretty stark. IMEC could be handling double the trade volume of CPEC. We're not talking about a small edge here. This is a massive economic advantage that's literally being engineered into the system from day one.
So let's be really clear. This is not just about building roads and ports. It's about who gets to control the supply chains of the future. The winner here doesn't just move goods faster. They get to write the rulebook for global trade for the next 50 years.
Okay, but this whole thing goes way deeper than just money and logistics. We need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because this is all part of a modern version of the geopolitical great game.
Let's start with CPEC. You know, this is a classic move right out of the Geopolitics 101 playbook. It's something called heartland theory. The basic idea is whoever controls the center of Eurasia, the heartland, can pretty much command the world. CPEC is China's play to lock down its piece of that heartland, and crucially, to get a backdoor to the Indian Ocean. This lets them bypass major choke points, which is a huge strategic win.
So, how do you counter a heartland move? Well, with the rimland strategy, of course, and that's exactly what IMEC is. The theory here is that to contain a power in the middle, you have to control the coastal areas, the rim of the landmass. IMEC is literally a chain connecting the key coastal powers, India, the Gulf, Europe, to put a squeeze on any single power trying to dominate from the center.
And what's so fascinating is how both of these land-based theories, they all come down to the sea. It's all about sea power. The real prize isn't just the road or the railway, it's the ports at the end. The fight between CPEC's Gwadar port and IMEC's ports in places like the UAE and Israel, that is a direct battle for who controls the seas in the 21st century.
Okay, so if you're a country like Pakistan, right in the middle of all this, what do? This is a massive, high-stakes game. Well, the strategy laid out here isn't about blocking anyone. It's something much smarter. It's about being so good you can't be ignored.
The thinking is brilliant, really. Don't waste energy trying to block the other guy. Instead, focus on making your own system so ridiculously efficient that global trade has no choice but to use you. The goal isn't to be an obstacle, it's to be inevitable. And there's a clear, 4-step blueprint for how to do it. Step 1. Get your house in order. Stabilize the economy and slash the time goods spend sitting in port. Step 2. Bring in the tech. Turn CPEC from just a road into a fully digital corridor with AI customs. The goal? Get those transit times way down. Step 3. Expand your network. Connect CPEC to Central Asia. Connect it to the Gulf. Make it a global connector, not just a Chinese corridor. And finally, Step 4. Compete to win.
If IMEC is the fastest, CPEC has to become the cheapest and most reliable. You win on cost, and you win on trust.
So this all brings us to the final big idea here, the main takeaway from this whole thing.
Look, what we're really watching here is a war of networks. It's not just a country against a country anymore. It's a system versus a system. You have CPEC, which is one very strong player building a big road, and then you have IMEC, which is a whole team of powerful players building a smart network. In this new game, the winner is going to be whoever builds the fastest, the smartest, and the most connected system. Period.
There's a great quote from Sir Abd Ali Shahed that just nailed it. He says, "Geography gave us a seat at the table. Execution decides if we host the feast." I mean, that says it all, right? Your location gets you in the door, but it's what you do with it that matters.
So that's the big question we're left with. In the 20th century, we fought over land. But in the 21st, it looks like we're fighting over networks. And as this new kind of war plays out, you have to wonder, who's going to build the system that wins?